Most Dynasty players walk into their rookie draft with rankings, opinions, and a gut feeling about their guy. And that's exactly why they lose value every single year, because rookie drafts aren't about picking the right player, they're about making the right decisions. And most people don't have a system to do that. So in this video, I'm giving you a full and complete rookie draft blueprint, step by step, how to approach every pick, when to draft, when to trade, and how to consistently come out of your rookie draft with more value than when you started with. If you follow this, your draft will look completely different. Your team will have so much more value, and you're going to find yourself getting more and more traction in your leagues and start to win year after year. My name is Caleb, and welcome to the Dynasty Edge HQ, where we help you think like a GM so that you can take your teams from rebuilding to winning championships for years to come. And if you find anything actionable or helpful in this video, make sure you subscribe down below. Let me know what you got out of this rookie blueprint, and it's going to be so helpful to have you in this. Now, I want to announce this before we get started. My rookie blueprint guide is down below in the description. You can download it for free today. If you just click the link down there, this gives you everything you need to have a successful rookie draft, and it goes a lot along with everything we're talking about today. If you take anything away from this video, you're going to want to watch this positional rules. This is the edge that you get in the video. I got a lot of this from Dynasty Land Fantasy Channel a few years ago. They do such a good job with laying this out. But this, if you follow this in your Dynasty leagues, it will change the game for your team. Now, this is what gives you the edge. So let's look at these positional rules. So what we did is we tried to figure out what's the likelihood of somebody having a top season by position by draft round. And so, what this looks like is that we took all the players that were drafted in every round for quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. And then we saw what players at what percentages hit when they were drafted in each one of those rounds. I want to show you this graph really quick that shows the hit rates for all positions in each of the rounds of the rookie drafts for the past 10 years, from 2014 to 2024. And if you look at this, round one quarterbacks hit at a 60% clip. And then there's a massive drop off to second round quarterbacks, third round quarterbacks. You see that 5%, that's Dak Prescott. And at the very bottom, number 7, that's Brock Purdy. And so you see that players have not hit in those other ranges. 0% quarterbacks in round 3 have ever had a top 12 season for a quarterback. That's crazy. Then looking at running backs are the best position to draft in rookie drafts. They have the highest percentages, especially in the first 3 rounds. 85% in the first round. So if a player is drafted in the first round of a rookie draft, they have an 85, almost 86% chance of actually being a top end running back. That's ridiculous. That is a great value. And then all the way down to round 3, where it goes to 48% chance of them. So 50% chance of them making. Now last year, Caleb Johnson didn't make it, but there have been other years where a third round running back has actually been a top end running back. Then wide receiver is probably the most disappointing on this whole list. In the first round, receivers are basically a 50% risk. 50% yes, 50% no. And then it goes down to 35% in the second round. So many people overhype wide receivers, and the percentages are just not there. So when you're drafting receiver, make sure that you understand what you're drafting. Okay, tight ends. This is also a really exciting thing. Round 1 tight ends are one of the surest bets you can get in Dynasty. At a 70% clip, they are actually one of the best bets to actually hit in your league if they're drafted in the first round. And then that gets cut in half if they're drafted in the second round, and then it goes way further down after that. So just keep these things in mind. And as I go through each position, this is how you should be drafting your teams based on position in your league, because this is where you get the most value. This is the most important thing. If you take away anything from this video, it's understanding what the NFL draft tells us and how players hit based on where they're drafted. So if we're going to go to quarterbacks, this is what history has told us about quarterbacks. So the QB rule, the percentages are only around quarterbacks in round 1. So if you pick a round 1 quarterback, they are a top end or a top tier quarterback 60% of the time. So 6 times out of 10, you're going to get a QB1 when you draft a quarterback that was drafted in the NFL draft in the first round. Okay, so this all has to do with where they get drafted in the actual NFL draft. This matters a lot. When a quarterback is drafted in the second round, it is only a 12% hit rate. Okay, so that means 12% of the time, quarterbacks are a QB1 when they are drafted in the second round. So really, you only want to draft a quarterback that has been drafted in the first round in the NFL draft. Now let's move on to running back. This is one of the biggest edges that you can get. You're going to want to prioritize round 1 through round 3 running backs. Round 1 running backs hit at a rate of 85%. Now you might say, hey, Caleb, what about Clyde Edwards-Helaire? He's that 15% that didn't hit. Most of the time, 85% of the time, running backs that are drafted in the first round are going to be an RB1 at some point in their dynasty career. That is the best bet. And then if you look at it this way, round 2 running backs also are at 70% of a hit rate to be a top 24 running back in your fantasy league. That is a high percentage. Then if you go down to round 3, it's basically a 50% shot. It's a 48.6% shot that they are going to be a RB1 or a top ranked 1 through 24 running back. That's crazy. Running backs are the best bet you can make if they're drafted in round 1. So be on the lookout in the NFL draft this year. If you see Jadarian Price going in round 1, or you see another running back going in round 1 or round 2, that's a pretty good bet to make in your dynasty leagues. Okay. So let's go into wide receivers. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Wide receivers are oftentimes highly drafted, and there's a little bit of change. Now, this says like round 1 receivers. So receivers across being drafted the round 1 in the actual NFL draft are at a 54% hit rate. It goes up a little bit if they're a top 10 wide receiver or a top 10 to 20 wide receiver, but it's not much. Receivers are basically a 50% bet. So even in that tier of 1.02 to 1.05, you're still 50-50 chances of Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon, or even Jordan Tyson of hitting. And in fact, if any other receivers are going in round 1, they're just as much of a bet in those later rounds. So if there are other wide receivers drafted in the first round of the NFL draft, those are guys you want to be looking at later on because they're just as much of a chance of hitting as these top end guys. It's pretty crazy to think about. Okay, the last rule is here, the tight end rule. This is another massive hit rate. So tight ends who are drafted in the first round of the NFL draft have a 70% hit rate. That is massive. So 70% of the time, they are actually going to hit a tight end 1 season or a tight end 1 through 24 season in your dynasty leagues. That's crazy. So they are actually another high-end bet. If you see a guy going in the top round or round 1, that is a guy you're going to want to look at, whether you're in a tight end premium or not. Somebody you want to look at. So just play these percentages. The biggest things to understand about this is that when you draft like that and you play the percentages, you are setting yourself up for success. And so you're definitely going to want to draft round 1 quarterbacks. You're definitely going to want to draft round 1 and round 2 running backs, and then round 1 tight end. So anybody in the top 1%, and then in the top the first round of the NFL draft is somebody you want to keep an eye on. And then wide receivers, you just have to realize that they are a 50% gamble. And so don't always draft the top wide receiver guy just because everybody says it. We all saw what happened to Marvin Harrison. He hasn't hit that yet. Could he hit that? Yeah, he could. But it's just a 50% chance that they're going to hit. So keep that in mind. Oh, quick mistake section is that you don't need to draft for need. Don't ignore tiers. Don't just not trade and only make your picks. Don't bet on outliers and don't hold too long. Those are massive mistakes that people make. Make sure that you are doing the good things for your team. You're drafting for value. You're setting tiers. You're trading within those tiers and making trades on the clock. You're betting on the actual players that hit those hit rates I went through. You're betting on those, and then you're not holding these players too long. When they hit the value that you're willing to sell at, sell, because that's how you always stay ahead in Dynasty. Now, if you don't take anything else from this, make sure you draft in tiers, prioritize value, and trade when the board gives you advantage. Don't bet against history. look at history, and make the right choices going forward. Now, if you find anything actionable or helpful in this video, make sure you subscribe down below. Go down to the description and grab my Dynasty Blueprint. It's going to help you so much in your drafts, and I hope that you can take this and start really drafting better and getting your teams from rebuilding to contending for years down the road. I can't wait to see you guys in the next video, and I hope this really helps.